Hi, and welcome back to another episode of Run Till You're Done. Today I'm joined by a prolific racer and winner, Cody Jones, coming all the way from America to join us in Scotland for the West Highland Way race coming up. Hello, Cody.
Hi.
I'll start off by asking a question that I ask everybody. Who are you, and how did you first get into running? Or in fact, I'm going to interrupt you because I know that it's not just running. How did you get into exercise?
Well, I think I grew up mountain biking a lot, and I kind of went through phases of that. But I started like racing bikes for a while, like 10 or 12 years ago, and somehow I too many crashes, I guess, and I kind of got into just through fitness. I kind of got back into ultra running. Whenever I was probably around 20 or 21, the big trail running group kind of got started around here, and my older brother was a part of it. So whenever I was young and cocky, I did a couple ultra marathons just on a bar bet, kind of, But then I went away from it for at least 10 years and kind of got into bike racing for a while. But that's kind of, I guess, the history of what happened there. I broke my wrist, and I decided I was gonna stay fit by running, and somebody turned me on to a ultra marathon that had a bike portion too. So I was like, okay, yeah, I'll just trade for that by running a little bit. And turned out I was better at running, I guess.
And I said you're a prolific racer. I think DUV Ultra is a site that I use. I know you've got Ultra Sign Up over in the US. They've got you down as having 45 races and 26 wins. And their site's not 100%. I know that there's races missing for me. So how often do you race in a year?
This year I decided I was just going to do like every race, so I didn't have to train. So I think I've done maybe 8 or 9 races already this year, and it was all kind of gearing toward this. A friend of mine has moved to London for a year, and he did this race in 2016. So he kind of talked me into it, and so I figured if I was going all that way, I better be in peak fitness for it, right?
Is the race you're talking about is the West Highland Way. So who's your friend? And
his name airplane. Named Brady Poskin, but he did it in 2016. I think he got 10th that year, but he should be a good guide. He should know everything about it from doing it. And one of the people that crewed him is also going to help me, so we got some little bit of experience with the race, so that should help.
Okay, so what kind of rough time as 10th place? That's probably about, I'm going to guess, 18 and a half hours.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. That's it. I was, last time I did it, I was 8th place in 18 hours, I think. So.
Yeah, I think he said it was his first like 100-miler.
Yeah.
Even though it's,
Yeah, I class it as a 100-miler, so it's what 4 miles short, so it's close enough.
Save some time though, because those are some of the miles of left you.
Yeah. So there have been people that have been silly enough to think, oh, they'll finish the West Highland Way and then they'll go up Ben Nevis afterwards.
Oh, yeah.
I wouldn't recommend it.
Well, that's like Badwater. They do that, right? They go up Mount Whitney after they get done. I took a few. It's like they do 135 miles and they keep going up the mountain.
I've Yeah, I think I'll pass. I've been up Ben Nevis plenty of times, but it's good to say that you've been up there. And on a nice day, it's nice to see the views. It's not very often a nice day. It's usually, well, I would show you at my window, but we've got I stay about 50 meters from the sea, and we've got the Har coming in at the moment, and you can't see anything. So that's what it's like at the top of Ben Nevis most of the time.
Yeah, we're planning on going to Skye after the race. I was trying to set up a route for my friend to run the Trotternish Ridge,
Okay.
and I was kind of the same situation, I guess, with the weather, huh? Like,
Yeah, it's very, very weather dependent over on the west coast. I'm at the opposite side of the country. I'm on the east coast. So if you want to change your plans and come over here, I can guide you to places.
yeah.
So in your massive amount of races that you've done, what's the biggest ones that stand out?
I haven't really done a lot of really huge races. Like I did the Coldwater 100-miler in Arizona. There's probably 250 starters. I mean, it just seems like most of the like local races around Kansas City are, when you get into 100-milers, it's like maybe 100 starters. It's not
Yeah.
not as many people. Like the biggest race around here used to be like the Wyco 50K. I mean, sometimes there'd be 350 people doing the 50K or something like that. But yeah, I mean, honestly, there's not that many 100-milers that are really huge. And it's kind of what I've been focusing on lately.
Yeah. I saw your name on the start list, and I instantly went, "Oh yeah, I know who that is," and looked you up, and yep, you've got this start list. And I'm not sure what races that I know your name from. So as you say, you're saying that there's no big ones that stand out. It's like, I'm not sure how I knew your name, but when I looked at your resume, there's definitely wins there. So I've heard you from somewhere.
Yeah. Oh, I actually raced in Madeira, just a 50K last fall. That was my first European race. It was kind of fun. I got second over there, but it was really a beautiful island. Very aggressive terrain.
Yeah. So you're saying that that's aggressive terrain. What kind of terrain is it you're normally racing on?
Um, well, like here around Kansas City, it's really hilly, but like hilly and rocky. But we don't have very big climbs. It's like 200 foot. Is like the biggest
Okay.
climb around. Just a lot of up and down river bluffs,
Yeah.
but it's not.
A lot of the climbs in Scotland, the West Highland Way, the climbs aren't that big, but if you're going on the Trotter's Ridge and stuff like that, there's probably a lot bigger climbs there, I think,
Mm-hmm.
and probably a lot rockier. So yeah, there's a lot of rockier terrain than what you'll get in the West Highland Way. Coming up, probably, let me think, 30 miles in, you got what they call the Loch side. You're going up the side of Loch Lomond, where it's not that technical, but compared to the rest of the race, it is. And then the rest of it's not manicured trail, but pretty flat trail.
What's the history of the trail? Is it like a trading route, or what? What is it?
Yeah. I don't know what the dates are, but it used to be an old a cattle drovers road. So they used to put cattle from one place to the other to trade them in market.
Cool. Yeah, I really like the point-to-point aspect too. It's seems like it's always a little more fun when you're doing it that way. You don't have
Yeah,
to.
there's a journey to it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I've done it 3 times and been involved with it since 20, 2010, I think, was the first time I was involved with it. Doing support for a couple of guys who they started in Fort William, ran to Mulgai, and then joined the race and ran back up to Fort William again.
Wow. Quite a deal. Catch any of this Cocodona 250 stuff?
No.
It was like really big, like in the ultra scene here. They got like live coverage of everything now. It's like getting really popular. They're like just like the media surrounding it's getting really huge. You know, that Aravaipa stuff. Have you heard of them?
No.
They put on a lot of the races like in Arizona and like on the West Coast, but they're kind of like a for-profit like race company.
Okay.
So
Kind of like the UTMB sort of style of racing.
Sort of, yeah.
They've just been bought over by Ironman, so they're very corporate, in it for the money.
Yeah, they well, I think they're involved with Western States. I think. I'm not sure, maybe not. I guess UTMB owns them now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of negative words about them, but
Yeah.
I did UTMB back 2014, and that was when it wasn't owned by Ironman, and it was hard enough to get into then. It was expensive enough then, so it was. Yeah, I'm not in a rush to go back.
Yeah, my friend Brady that I was talking about, he did it last year, so we went over and helped crew for him, and it was quite the experience. I'll say it was beautiful over.
Yeah, it's definitely an experience. That's how I describe it.
Mm-hmm.
So you've described your crew. They've got the experience. Is there anybody? I guess they've been on the course and crewed it already, so they know the course in terms of, because the course is different for crew than it is for runners. But how well do you know the course?
Not
Not at
very.
all.
I'm planning on looking at it closer, but I've looked over the maps a little bit, but it's hard to really get a feel for it. So the way I understand it, there's certain checkpoints, but then there's other places where you'll be able to get aid, like in between, like what's the average distance in between?
For the first 50 miles, there's set checkpoints that you have to meet your crew at, and you don't think there's many places that you can meet them outside of that. And then after the 50 miles, there are some places that you can meet them, but it's about every 10 miles that you can meet the crew. So you usually don't need to meet them outside of that.
Yeah, I think the European racing style seems to be a little bit tougher than what we deal with here. Like pretty rare that 10 miles is is the distance between aid. Like I feel like a lot of times it's 5. Gets to 7 or 8, people are like, "Ooh, that's too far."
I've done
also pacers. Like you could always have pacers almost.
Yeah, if you're, I think for the West Highland Way, it's if you're in the lead, you're not allowed a pacer at all. And if you're within 4 hours, they might have changed the rules by now, but it used to be if you're within 4 hours, you're not allowed a pacer because you've still got the chance to catch them.
Yeah, it makes sense, but it's just like you get used to this thing where someone gets to join you and you're really tired,
Yeah. I've done. You're saying that you're crewing. You're used to meeting them every 5 miles. I've done races where there's no crew at all, but you meet the race crew every 25 miles, and then you get your bag every 50 miles. But you are allowed to go into shops and stuff on the way if you pass a village that the shop's open.
Yeah, I mean, I think that kind of stuff's fun, but it makes it hard when you're really trying to go fast,
Yeah.
It's like more an adventure, like you say, but it's like, I don't know, like a lot of times they'll be like, say for 100 mile, it'll be like a 20-mile loop course, and you'll get aid every 5 miles, basically, where a lot of people won't even wear a pack or anything. They just,
Yeah.
fill a bottle or whatever.
The thing that I'm into at the moment is backyard ultras. I don't know if you know what they are. So you're meeting your crew or your own tent every 4.167 miles. So yeah. Some people carry a pack for that. I don't see the need to. Sometimes I carry a water bottle if it's really hot, but other than that, there's no need to at all. So that is, but then with that, there's no need to go fast. So
Yeah,
it's
I tried one time. I think I was a bit impatient, maybe. I just I don't know. Mentally, I didn't have it. I dropped after like 125, and but it was on a golf course, so we could stop by the crew tent like every 2 miles, because when you came back in for the 9 holes, you would be by your tent again.
okay.
So, but it was in the winter, so cold. Every single time I went to the starting line, I was shivering, and then I had to wear like a down jacket.
Yeah.
And I would just run with it and take it off after 1 mile when I warmed up, and then I would throw it back down at the tent whenever I came by at 2 miles, because it was like, I don't know, around 0 Celsius, you know. So it's like your body just breaks down, and I mean, I'm stopping for probably at least 15 minutes every time, and I just like, we had a warm tent, but then as soon as I would come out of it, it's like
Yeah.
you're shivering.
There's a balancing act to be had there, definitely.
Yeah, and I think part of the reason that I didn't want to keep going, of course, also it's short days in the winter, and I just couldn't I couldn't imagine going through another night. It was like, because it was pretty nice during the day, but in the night it was just very cold.
So you're in Kansas City.
Mm-hmm.
How does that compare to Scotland in terms of temperature, in terms of what time does it get dark at?
I mean, the days are long right now, of course. Probably 9 or 9:30 days light till right now, and the sun's up at, I don't know. I'd say like sunset is probably 9 o'clock, and sunrise is around 6 in the morning, probably. But it's a little bit more light than that, of course.
Yeah. So it's probably pretty similar to what it will be in Scotland when you're in the middle of June. It'll be similar to that.
It's longer, right? The sun comes up like 3:30, I thought.
It's light at 3:30.
Yeah.
Sometimes in Scotland you never see the sun, but yeah, it'll be light.
Yeah, that's I have a friend that lives in Alaska too. We went up there for the solstice a couple of years ago, and it's crazy. Like the sun just kind of like goes around you; it never goes down.
Yeah. No, middle of summer. It'll either be pouring rain or sunny. One of the two. It's the extremes.
Yeah, I did. I did a race last fall, the Ozark Trail 100, and it's another like point to point. It's in Missouri. It's like really kind of out in the wilderness. It's weird. There's not really any civilization around. It's just a lot of really small towns, like nothing really going on out there. But they have this like, I think it was built as more of like a horse trail, but it's just rocky, and um, it's a little bit different terrain than here, even though it's like, you know 200 miles away or something, and it was point to point, but it rained the whole time. It was quite the test. 19 hours.
So if that took 19 hours, what's your PB at 100 miles?
I just did one of the easy hundreds this spring, and I ran 14:11. It's like on a rail trail, like, you know what I mean, like pretty flat.
Yeah. Okay. And
But
how does that reflect to your ambitions for the West Highland Way?
well,
Feel free not to give away any secrets.
obviously, it'll be a tougher course, but I think under 16 hours should be pretty reasonable for me. I don't anticipate going any slower than that. Seems like things are starting to click, getting some good fitness, and training's been going well. So I don't know. I mean, obviously there's been some very fast times there. You probably know what's possible better than I do, you know?
Rob Sinclair, 13:42, I think it was. I was his crew for that. So he was 2 minutes slower. I had made up his plan for his timings, and he was 2 minutes slower than I told him to be. Or was it? No. The original time I'd set him 10 minutes faster than that, and I said, nah, you never do that. That's impossible. So I recalculated it, and he was 2 minutes off of the time that I said.
That's pretty crazy.
So.
Yeah. I guess it's just, it all comes down to the later stages, of course. Like, is the stomach going good? You have climbs and stuff. But it seems like the descents are pretty fast. Like, should be able to make good pace even later in the race.
Yeah, as long as you don't go too fast. There's the first big hill is called Conic Hill, and I got told when I first started racing there is don't go too fast down Conic Hill because you'll destroy your quads, and if you destroy your quads at 20 miles, you won't be able to run at 90 miles. So it's a balancing act.
Yeah, I noticed UTMB. That's what everyone does. The first downhill, everyone was just like sprinting.
Yeah.
I went up the first climb ahead of the runners so I could spectate, and then once my guy went by, I just joined in and like to go down and get a ride back.
Yeah.
So I was running with everybody. I was like, I can't believe these people are going this fast. Like it's like 10 miles in, just like 7-minute pace on the downhill,
But it works for some people. If you look at Jim Walmsley, he's all out all the time. So
I can't believe it. We were still in Champaillac when he finished, and we watched it on TV in one of the restaurants there. It got me a little teary eyed. He finally got his win. He's really put a lot of work into that. It's good.
Yeah. My next question was why Scotland? But I'm guessing it's because your friend. It always comes down to a friend in the pub convince you to do it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's like, oh, well, he originally said, oh, my brother's graduating from St. Andrews, so I'm gonna have to be up there anyway. Should come over and do this race. Apparently, that graduation didn't happen, or I'm not sure about that. But yeah, we're gonna make a trip of it and have a good time. I'm gonna be over there for about 2 weeks. We're going to Glastonbury afterwards too.
Okay. How long before the race are you here for?
We're flying in Thursday. I think we get there at like 10 or 11 in the morning on Thursday in London, and then we got to take the train out from London.
Okay.
So probably taking the train up Friday morning, and then try to get some sleep, I guess. It's kind of an odd start time.
1 a.m. in the morning. That's probably, is that a good time for you? 1 a.m.
I think it'll
British
be all right.
summertime. So it's,
I
what are
imagine
you, 5 hours behind us, are you?
6.
6. So that's what, 6 o'clock at night you'd be starting. Oh, 7 o'clock at night. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
that is.
but
I'll have to figure it out. I'm just gonna make sure I'm like tired whenever I get there, so I can get a few hours sleep.
yeah, I'm sure with the jet lag, I'm sure that'll being tired is not an option.
Not that hard. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I was just figure I'll try to sleep like a little bit in the afternoon there. At least if I can get like 3 or 4 hours, I'd be pretty happy.
And you mentioned that you broke your wrist. What about running injuries? Have you had any of them?
I'm kind of like I've had this like nagging little thing that's I don't even know how to describe it. It's like on the back of my knee, and right when it started, it's like sort of like I can't extend well. It's like on the inside below my knee, and it makes it where it's like if I don't like loosen it up and like really work it like with the and like I have to do like foam roller and stuff all the time. I've been trying to do a lot of weight stuff to try to make it better, but it's just like I don't know, it's always there. If I ever try to ignore it, it's bad. You can't ignore it. But I've been managing it pretty well. It's all right, but that's the only thing that's really ever bothered me too much from running. Of course, I don't know how long I've been doing this, maybe 7 or 8 years. So that's pretty good just to have one thing, I guess.
Yeah. So you say that you do weights. Is that weights for recovery? How do you
Yeah,
recover?
yeah, more or less like kind of trying to strengthen whatever's I've been doing different stuff, but like lunges and squats, calf raises. I'm trying to like figure out a way to strengthen this thing where it stops bothering me. But I've kind of been talking to a couple physical therapists and getting some tips and stuff. It's finally starting to improve. So I felt like I dealt with it all last year and never really got much benefit from the weight work I was doing, and now I've kind of switched and doing a lot of different stuff. It seems like it's really starting to improve now. It really, it's honestly, it just feels like there's just like a lot of tightness on the inside of my left knee, and as long as I take care of it, it doesn't really bother me too much. But I had a few instances where I kind of messed up races, and I was like, all right, I got to get this sorted out. Kind of got more serious about it.
And what about when we're not talking about injury, do you cross train with weights, with cycling,
Well, I
anything
still do
else?
a little cycling, yeah. Yeah, that's you know, I'm pretty active. Other than that, got in a soccer league last summer. That was kind of interesting. I I would do
I,
run commute to the field, play a game, and then run home.
I find things like soccer, football, basketball, anything like that, there's too much lateral movement, and
Mm.
I get injured, so I just avoid it all.
Yeah,
Running's more fun.
I kind of just like thought it'd be good for me because try to balance things out a little bit because it seems like I don't know. I was kind of like leaning towards maybe the problem was like tendonitis, and it seems like more like variety of workouts seems to help with something like that where you're doing more fast twitch stuff. So I
Yeah.
thought maybe that, but I don't know if that really helped. It was fun though.
Usually when I've got, from my personal experience, injuries sort of lower limb, it's always my shoes, but that's because I run in a non-standard way. If you went to a running shop and they told you how to run, they would say that I run wrong. Well, I've been running for 15 years, so it works for me. It's usually my shoes that I change. What kind of shoes do you wear?
Um, Typically Hoka for races, but I rotate a lot, like you say, like try not to use the same shoes like all the time. So I'm doing something different. I have, the I don't know, Topo.
Yeah.
It's like one of the, zero drop, and I wear those for like, less aggressive trail. Where you're using your feet more. Try to strengthen the feet a little bit. I just try not to wear the same pair of shoes 2 times in a row. But typically for races, it's always going to be Hokas. I got a pair of the Tectons. I think I'm going to wear for the West Highland Way. First generation. I got them on sale.
It's Ultras that I've been wearing recently. Their Topo is an alternative to them. So I've been told. I've never tried them myself, but I think Ultra are the main sponsors of the West Highland Way. At least they were last year. I don't know if they are this year.
Oh yeah, I think they are. Yeah, I got one pair of Ultras. This is my first pair. I won at a race this spring. I've worn them only a few times, but it seems like, yeah, they're similar to Topo. But the ones that the Topos I wear are like really low cushioning, like minimal, where you really have to watch where you step kind of stuff,
Yeah.
Which I think good for your feet.
No, on you go. What you saying?
I feel like that's good for your feet to have where you're really feeling the trail more,
Yes, yes. I used to run in metal trail gloves, which were just basically a layer of rubber on your foot and no cushioning at all. So it was, yeah, similar sort of thing.
Mm.
So getting back to more important things, what kind of diet do you follow, or do you just eat? Do you follow anything in particular when you're not running?
No, I mean, I just try to eat healthy and non-processed, decent food, but I don't really like eliminate anything. We're obviously Kansas is big on beef, a lot of cattle around here, so definitely a big beef eater. But yeah, nothing really. Just make sure I get my leafy greens and good amount of protein. Basically, try to stay away from the carbs as much as possible because I drink too much beer.
That's a question. We've got a serious topic to get onto in a minute, but I've got a sort of formality questions to get out of the way with. We'll get on to beer. Going back to diet, when you come over to Scotland, have you been told to experience any food in particular?
No, not really. I was kind of just gonna wing it. What's your recommendation?
Well, the sort of stereotypical you've got to come over to Scotland to try is haggis, which is you look it up and it'll sound absolutely disgusting, but it is great. It's what is it? Sheep's offal boiled in its stomach, mixed with oatmeal. It sounds absolutely disgusting, but it's great. And the vegetarian version, don't let anybody tell you otherwise. The vegetarian version is actually better. So look out for it. I'm not a vegetarian, by the way. So my wife is. So it's I've experienced it. The other thing is the deep fried Mars bars.
Really?
So you can, if you go to a place called Stonehaven, as where it started out, and basically the when you deep fry it in batter, you can go into the chip shop with a sweet and say, "Can you batter this for me?" And they'll batter it. So some of the takeaway places will serve you anyway. Not all of them will, but it's worth something to try.
Wow, that's funny.
So you've already mentioned that you're touring Scotland. You're going to look for some haggis. You'll get stories that haggis are this little creature that runs round the top of a mountain that's got one leg shorter than the other. That's why it goes round and round in circles. But that's just what they tell the tourists. Right. Going back to nutrition, during a race, how do you fuel your race?
Well, I use like the untapped maple syrup. Have you heard of that? It's like
No.
yeah, it's a brand out of Vermont, but it's basically just flavored maple syrup. So the base sugar is all maple syrup, and then there's a few different varieties. They've got a coffee one, chocolate, raspberry, or whatever. So I use those, and I've been on the Spring Energy. I know they got a. Have you heard of that?
Nope.
Oh, so they've got a big thing going on where people were testing their gels and they weren't as high in calories as they said they were or something. So that's kind of funny. But they have like an applesauce one that's supposedly 180 calories, which is like almost double what a normal gel is. So you think that'd be really great, but then apparently maybe it isn't that high after all. I don't know. But they're really easy to get down and easy on the stomach. So I use a lot of those. They have a couple different ones that I like, but the maple syrup ones are like, it's so liquidy. It's not thick, so it's easy to swallow. Like even if you're running harder.
Yeah.
And then I think that's kind of the way these Spring Energy ones. That's why I like them. They're just easy to get down. They have a lot of liquid in them. I would say compared to some of the like goos or whatever.
Yeah. Are you planning on taking your gels with you, or are you planning on getting them over here?
I'll probably bring them, yeah. Or maybe my friend can. He always has, a good stock of them. We use the same thing, so.
Okay, it's just making sure you can source the right things when you're over here. That's because
Yeah.
you said goo. I've used goo over here. I've been to Boston and New York, and both places. I went into the running shop just to see what was there. I wasn't racing, but none of them had the same makes, same brands as what we had. So it's good that you're taking your stuff with you.
Yeah, I don't think I can get by without checking a bag anyway, so we're just gonna have to do it.
Yeah, if you're doing it for 2 weeks, then yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna. I'll probably bring like 2 of my running packs where they can refill it and I can swap.
Yeah.
Save some time. And then, the drink mix and everything. It's just I normally like when I do a 100-miler, I prepare every pack the way I want it. That way the crew doesn't have to do anything. So I'll have like 5 packs ready to go or whatever, and then they just hand me the pack. And the last race, somehow I screwed up and put the head layup at the wrong one. So I'm like, it's getting dark. I'm like, oh man, where's my head layup? Apparently, I put it in the pack before that because I thought to myself, oh, I'll put it on before I get to this point, and then I'll switch packs. I forgot that part and left it in the wrong pack. And I had to my Pacers head layup, and then he got dropped. But yeah, I feel like that's another benefit of running versus cycling. It's so much simpler. Like the most complicated thing you have to do is think about where your headlamp is. Like bikes, like so many things can go wrong with your bike. You have to have all these tools and.
Yeah. And apparently running's a cheap hobby. Cycling is definitely not.
No, it isn't. Running, I don't know if running's cheap, but it's cheaper for sure.
Yeah. No, the amount of shoes that you get when you're doing 100-milers, the amount of shoes that you go through are not cheap.
Yeah, race entries. My friend's been telling me the race entries are cheaper over there than they are here. Like half the price almost. He did West Downs Way, 50-mile, a couple weeks ago. He said it was like, I don't know, like 60 pounds or something like that. Is that right?
That's probably right. I'm not sure. That's down the other side of the country, but yes, it varies. Some races are 30 pounds. Some of them are 100 pounds. It just depends on. Yeah, it depends whether they're supplying the food for you and stuff like that as well.
I feel like for 50-milers around here, it's like everything's getting close to like $150.
Yeah. Not a cheap hobby.
No, especially if you do every race like I've been doing.
So,
well, I kind of like, I guess sort of like one of my goals is like just like win every race in the area. So I kind of like even races I'm not really that interested in. I'm just like, I got to go do it once,
Is there any races that you've done multiple times?
Well, so the Wyco 50K, like I live like really close to the course, so I pretty much do that every year. I've probably done it 6 or 7 times at least. But usually once I do a race, like I'd say like 3 times, I'm usually pretty much satisfied,
Yeah.
It's kind
Oh,
of, I just want to save my effort for another one, find a new one, have some more fun.
is a 50K, is that your preferred distance, or have you got preferred in the 100 milers now?
Yeah, I think honestly the 50Ks have gotten so much faster from when I started. Like I feel like it's like a road marathon doing a 50K now. It's like so
Yeah.
intense, like you can't waste a second.
How
And
how fast would you be doing a 50K in?
oh, I mean like an easy 50K, maybe I could run like 315 or 320. I don't know. I haven't but like trail usually right around 4 hours on like a kind of a harder trail 50K, which we've been doing a lot of, or I have this year, but it seems like it's getting more popular here, like 6 hour races, because then
Okay.
everyone finishes at the same time. It seems like it's kind of more fun for the participants.
Yeah.
It seems there's more of them popping up, but I feel like the jump from 50K to 6 hour for me, it's like that makes it pretty hard when you go to 6 hours. 50K, I feel like oh, that was a good run, but I'm totally fine. But I'm usually pretty tired after the 6 hour,
Yeah.
because I
That,
feel like let's try to pace it the same, and it ends up biting me.
I don't think there's many 6 hour races in Scotland. I can't think of any. There is one 8 hour race that was near me last weekend, and that's unusual. I don't know why they came up with an 8 hour limit and not. I've heard of a 6 hour limit before, but 8 hours.
Yeah, so it's usually just like a 3 or 4 mile loop for 6 hours or whatever, and
Yeah,
it's kind of fun because you see everybody a lot, and you know everyone's saying good job to you, and I don't know, it's more of a camaraderie thing, I think, like to
sure.
because everyone finishes at the same time, everyone's out there and sees each other a lot, whereas like a normal race, once you get ahead, you don't see anybody in the back at all.
Right. Getting back to my questions, what do you think about when you don't have a crew? What are you thinking about when you're running?
Yeah, I've asked this before because I don't normally like listen to anything. Usually I just try to focus on like what can I do to make myself go faster? Like what do I need to be doing right now? Like, just like little things that like I don't know, save energy here, or take your salt tab, and like, oh, in 10 minutes you need to have a gel. Like, I just kind of I don't know, once you get tired, it seems like your mind kind of like slows down a little bit to where you don't have to really think as much, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I feel for the first 3 or 4 hours I'm not bored anymore. Like time like we got to get this time to go by, and then like 45 minutes goes by like that, and then all of a sudden you're seeing your crew, and that distracts you for a second, and then you feel way better because you got some you know different food in you or whatever, and like you're almost starting fresh again. I don't know, it's just, and then it's also obviously better if you have a pacer. But my my last race with my friend Hans was helping me, and he was like the 14-hour 100 miler. He was like telling me how good I was doing, like all this stuff, like with like 30 miles to go, and I'm like, this is not over. It definitely still go wrong. I just like I had my pain face on, and I was not very talkative. He's like, "Come on, you got to cheer up." So I'm like, "No, I'm not. I'm not ready to cheer up yet."
I don't have to cheer up. I have to finish.
Yeah, yeah. Well, there's 2 miles to go. Come talk to me.
So you said you don't normally listen to anything, but when you are listening to anything, what do you listen to? Music, podcasts?
Sometimes I listen to like audiobooks. I do like commutes to work. I just work landscaping, so I get there and I'm all sweaty. I just change my clothes because I know I'm gonna get sweaty again. But it's like a 10-mile run, so I just put on an audio book and kind of space out because when you're along the roads, like course, I run mostly trail. When I'm along the roads, I feel like not as enjoyable, and I can't just space out as much. I feel like it helps to have something to listen to a little bit.
Sure. Do you find that your daily work of landscaping is actually cross training?
I think so. It helps with the you know grinding through something when you know you're not done. You just gotta go run till you're done.
Yeah, exactly.
And then landscaping, you can't stop till you're done. You just have to finish whatever you're doing. So even if it sucks, you just have to keep going until it's over.
So, do you get nervous before a race?
Not very often. Um, I used to get nervous before bike races. I don't know what the difference is. I think just because the beginning of bike races is so crazy, like trying to get in the right group, like everyone just like attacks at the beginning. So you have to be like really attentive and like the opposite of pacing. You have to go super hard at the beginning to get in the right group so you get sucked along by the draft.
Yeah,
It's kind of weird. Like you'd think they would want to go out easy too, but that's not the way it is. I was doing like the longer gravel races and stuff like Dirty Kanza, and I don't know if you follow that stuff at all,
no,
but like 200-mile gravel road races and stuff. But like the first 10 miles are like really crucial because if you lose the main group, you can't catch them, like because they're working together with such a good
sure,
draft.
yes,
It's over. So I guess maybe that was what made me nervous, but especially on shorter races, or I mean on longer races, running, I don't really get nervous at all because the beginning isn't like stressful. It's like it's the easiest part, right? You feel good, you just like go out, see how everybody's feeling. Seems like no one's ever really trying to kill it right at the beginning, so it's kind of fun, really.
yeah. Well, if you are killing it, you're probably going to regret it later on. So,
Right?
so before going into a race, if you're not nervous, is there any sort of rituals that you follow, things that you must do pre-race?
Oh yeah, I always wake up at least like 3 hours before a race, which everyone thinks is crazy, but seems like I don't know. I say I'm not nervous, but maybe it's nervous bowels, but I kind of like have to get stuff flushed out before I race, so like, you don't want to be dealing with that once the race starts. So I always wake up 3 hours before and kind of take care of everything, and then by the time I get to the starting line, I'm good, But other than that, not really. I mean, just a normal like do a little foam roller, get a good breakfast. At least 2 hours before it starts, I like to eat.
So given the West Highland Way is 1 a.m., but then you're going to be messed up with jet lag and time difference and stuff like that. What's your plans the day? Well, you're getting the train in on the Thursday, but getting the train up to probably Glasgow. Is that on the Thursday and then resting on the Friday?
Friday morning, we're taking the train. I think we get into Glasgow at 12:30. I think. So
Okay.
then we got like an Airbnb. So I assume we'll just get some lunch, and then go to the Airbnb, and hopefully I can fall asleep for, I don't know, from maybe 4 to 9, ideally, and then wake up at 9 and start getting ready for the race because my friend's coming up from London later. So I want to talk about logistics a little bit with him. So I feel like an extra hour should be plenty for that. And then, of course, we got to get up to, I think our place is really pretty close to, how do you say the start?
Mulgai.
Milgai.
Yeah, it's spelled Milngavi, but
Yeah.
it's Mulgai is how you pronounce it.
Yeah. I was confused by that. I watched a video or something and I heard somebody say it like that. I was like, oh man, I'm really, really going to be out of my element.
Yeah, a lot of Scottish name places are like that. There's, yeah, especially when you say it to a local. Now, if you say it to somebody who's the other side of Scotland, they'll maybe laugh at you and tell you how, but a local will get upset that you're saying it wrong. And then, yeah, just get over it. It's not worth it.
Yeah, it seems like all the stopping points along the way are probably going to be like that, right?
Yeah, the try to think. Balmaha is the first main one. That's spelt properly.
Yeah.
Rawerdennen, but your crew probably might not go there. Inversnaid, they definitely won't go to. Ochtertyre Farm, that might be a difficult one to say. Tyndrum, but it's actually, it's Tyndrum and not Tindrum, because there's no tin in Tindrum. It's Tyne. Then going up Glencoe, that's, yeah, you're saying that right. Bridge of Orkney is before that. Lundavra, that's one that the locals get upset about. That's about 6 miles before the end. It's Lundavra, but nobody will mind that's actually taking part in the race.
Okay.
And if they do mind, tell them to come and talk to me.
I feel like this is going to be quite the journey for me, having never been to Scotland and just like buzzing through all these little towns.
It's an experience, so use it as that. The one thing that I'm going to say to watch out for, have you heard about midges or midge?
Yeah, my friend was telling me about that. So I got one of the head nets, but I don't know. You tell me what I need to worry about.
Well, think mosquitoes, but think about quarter of the size, and they don't carry any disease, but they bite, and boy do they bite. And the only way that I know, surefire way to know not to get bitten by them, is to run faster, because apparently midge can only fly at 3 miles per hour. So as long as you're running faster than that, they shouldn't bite you. But as soon as you stop, then they'll get you. But the problem is they're after the was it carbon dioxide, monoxide, whatever it is in your breath. So if you're breathing, they're coming after you. So don't stop and don't breathe.
But they like stick to your sweat and stuff too. Like if you're sweating a lot.
Yes, but they drown in your sweat. So it's whether they bite you before they drown.
Oh gosh. Yeah.
So I've seen people sort of being a different color because they're covered in so much midges drowned in the sweat on their face.
Oh my gosh. So do you think it's like beneficial to wear long sleeves for the early part of the race, or?
It can be. They come out more when you're near the water. So stops like Inversnaid and Rawerdennen, when you're near the water, they're probably worse then. They still will be at Ochtertyre Farm. They'll still be at Bridge of Orkney and Glencoe, but they won't be as bad. I think Rawerden and Inversnaid will be your worst bits. So it depends what time you're getting there at. Okay. The arm sleeves that you could roll up and down are probably a good thing.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I feel like around here, like in the summer, we have like, I don't know, they call them like deer flies, or there's horse flies too. They're bigger, but you got to go like 7-minute pace to get away from them. Like when you're in the woods, like on the trails, it's pretty hard to run 7-minute pace sometimes.
Yeah, that's the problem. You can't get away from them.
Yeah, it's tough.
So the few questions that I've got written down left to ask you. Have you got a dream race, a bucket list, things that you want to do?
I think I would like to do UTMB one day. I don't really want to go soon, but just because I just recently been there. But I really enjoyed the whole whole area. Like we went up to like Interlachen area for a few days before the race. I thought that was really cool. So we actually talked about doing the Eiger 250 thing as a team, which I think would be really fun. But honestly, it's just any place that there's a good adventure, I'm there for, you know.
Yeah. The other dream question is there anybody that you sort of idolize who you would want to run with, either a runner or just somebody who you'd want to run with, dead or alive, or fictional? It's up to you.
Oh, I'm a Killian fan. I'd go up to Norway and do some runs with Killian for sure. Jakob Ingebrigtsen, kind of a fan of him. I don't know if we really do the same kind of runs, but he probably dropped me. Ouch.
Well, the question is, how far could he run? Can he run 100 miles? So he might drop you in the first mile or whatever, but would he be able to keep up with you for 100 miles?
It's hard to say, but I mean, I imagine with his training right now, what do you think he could do? 50 miler pretty fast?
Yeah.
I
Well,
feel like
like
point. I
you,
mean,
Usain Bolt used to. Sorry, what were you saying?
No, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, Usain Bolt used to run marathons and training runs, and he was 100 meters. So who knows what Ingebrigtsen or Killian? Well, Killian's obviously doing 100 milers and stuff, but yeah.
Yeah, no, I imagine he didn't get carried away. He could definitely do about a 5-hour 50 miler, without much.
So getting on to my last and most important topic, not necessarily question, but topic, is beer. And you're for the viewers and explain for the listeners what t-shirt you're wearing.
This is just my this is our running club here, Wyco Wolfpack. So we have a group of I'd say probably 100 people on and on, but on and off. I mean, and that come regularly. But usually we meet every Thursday night at this park that right where I live, and basically it's a beer drinking club, but we run. Everyone brings, like, when they go out of town, they bring different beers from different places, and we share them and stuff. And so it's like go run for an hour or 2 hours and hang out for an hour or 2 hours kind of thing, and drink some beers and have some laughs. It's a really fun club, and everyone's really supportive of each other. It's really, I mean, honestly, this club is making everyone better, not just me, but I would say that everyone helps me, and it motivates me that people care about what I'm doing, and it's just it's a fun time.
And I've seen on your Instagram that the most important race that you've won is beer miles. What kind of time have you done for a beer mile?
My best is 5:35 on a track.
I'm not sure that I could run that without beer.
I'm not that great of a mile runner, so you can imagine I'm drinking the beer pretty quick. But I actually did a beer half marathon one time. I thought that would be a good idea. It was not.
What did that involve?
One beer every mile for 13.1 miles. And I did it in an hour and 36 minutes. And as soon as I stopped running, I couldn't stand up. I started putting my hands on the ground like three steps after I crossed the finish line. It felt like the ground was moving. That wasn't good. My wife was not happy. Honestly, the main problem with that deal was I was just so full the whole time. That was like, I felt so much faster, but my stomach was like ready to explode.
What kind of strength of beer are we talking about?
Like 5%, yeah.
So not exactly a session beer. So,
No, like it's like a local like Hefeweizen or something that I drank, and
so
they
if you're
they saw
you're drinking
they saw
13 of them, then you know about it.
they they saw the video and they gave me a free case of beer afterwards. Yeah, that was. People always say, "Are you gonna try it again?" I'm like, I really don't have any desire to do that to myself again. For some reason, I thought it wasn't going to be that bad, but I was wrong.
And I'll explain for the people that don't know. Untapped is a beer logging app that you
Yeah,
can rate. Like you take a drink of beer, you rate it, and I use it so that if I go into the pub the next time, I know whether I liked a beer or not.
right.
I've got just under 1,000 beers, which people go, oh, that's loads. You've got near 6,000.
Oh, 7,000. Yeah. Well, obviously, this group helps out a lot, but like, you get the most when you go to breweries and stuff. But I feel like someone hands me a can, I can remember if I've had it before, like because I take the time to check it in. You look at it and you think about it for a second, and then I can like someone will go, "Hey, have you had this?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I think I've had that." And then of course you can look it up and see if you
Yeah.
liked it or whatever. But yeah, a lot of people in the group use that app. Just it's just fun because I mean the craft beer industry here in the States is just like crazy. Like there's within the last 10 years, there's probably 10 times more breweries than there was.
It's a similar state in Scotland, I think.
Good. So there'll be some beer to drink.
Oh, there's definitely beer or whiskey to drink in Scotland.
Yeah. Oh, I think we're gonna go buy Talisker when we go to Sky. So we'll have to. Obviously, I've had it, but it'll be fun to visit the source.
Yeah. So, uh, what is your favorite style of beer and individual beer?
IPA. I feel like the new style IPAs that are like a little bit less bitter and more like hop aroma are kind of like
Is
really
that a
kind of
New
drinking
England IPA, something like that?
something like that. Yeah. Um, well, this is what I'm drinking right now. This is oh wait, why is this reflections really bad? This is our local Boulevard Brewery. It's a collaboration with one in Iowa, but it's like New England style. But the problem is these really good tasting beers are always like 8%. They really get me messed up.
Yeah.
Like, but our sponsor is a little local brewery that has a really great uh, IPA that I mean, when it's fresh, it's got to be about my favorite. Of course, it's ever evolving. Like I mean, everything evolves. Like what you like to eat when you're running, and you know, I feel like the beer drinking thing is kind of seasonal too. You have a certain flavor you like for a certain weather pattern. And so this is the one we're sponsored by. It's like a mosaic hopped. It's more of a West Coast, I think. It's like you know, not hazy, but pretty delicious. And they give us for our group, they give us like a keg every couple months. Which really is kind of fun for races and stuff because we've started putting on a few little races too. So kind of makes it where people don't want to leave when they get done, right?
The question that I forgot to ask you earlier is that's your group sponsor. Do you have any sponsors yourself?
I was sponsored by the Maple Company until this year. Apparently, I didn't do good enough last year. But
So we
the
won't
orange,
mention their name.
yeah, Orange Mud hydration. They have the hydration packs and like a bunch of like running gear. They sponsor me, but I haven't really been able to figure out how to get a shoe sponsor yet. I got to figure that one out.
Yeah, the expensive things. That's what you want sponsored for.
Right.
Well, I hope that you enjoy Scotland, and I hope that West Highland Way brings everything that you're hoping for it to bring. And the best of luck to you in that race. And yeah, I'll see you. I'll be at the 100-kilometer mark on top of Jelly Baby Hill. It's the hill coming out after Bridge of Orkney. So if you've got a preference for a Jelly Baby color, then let me know.
What's jelly babies? Is just like jelly beans?
They are not like jelly beans. They are, the nearest thing I could describe is, you know the soft bit in the middle of a jelly bean? They're
Yeah.
kind of like that, but they're in the shape of a baby for some bizarre reason. It's not a Scottish thing, so you'll just have to you'll find out at the 100K mark.
I feel like red's usually my preferred candy flavor. Whatever
Yeah,
kind of red, cherry or strawberry.
they all taste the same. I didn't make up this tradition. I took it over from somebody else. We do it in 10-year stints. He did 10 years. I shared a year with him. And this is my 3rd or 4th year that I've been doing it. So when people get to the 100K mark, they know that's when they get a jelly baby. And for
Kind of,
for
so
reasons that I don't know.
there is some kind of nutrition on course.
Yeah, maybe.
All right. Well, I look forward to seeing you on Jelly Baby Hill.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right. Cheers.
Yeah.